So today, the UK has passed the vote on assisted suicide, which this debate has been going on for a while. We've seen this legislation being gradually introduced into several countries, and everywhere where it's been introduced, it's been slowly widened, a bit like our abortion laws, which we've seen tens of thousands avail of it. We've seen the extermination of the most vulnerable. Down syndrome looked on as something to be ashamed of. 90% of children with Down syndrome killed off in the womb. Decriminalisation as well of abortion, of killing a child up to birth in the UK. This is really where we've arrived to, and the ever widening disregard for humanity. Because if you're not a productive, if you're not an economic unit in society, if you can't add value to society, you're worthless for society. The young, the vulnerable, and the elderly are really something to be disregarded, and pain and sickness and end of life care is something to be destroyed, because we can't have that seemingly. And it's dressed up as a choice. It's your choice. Yeah, it's your choice, but it'll be pushed on people at the end of the day. It'll be offered to them, it'll be pushed to them. Just take this and just drift away. There is a novel by a priest called Robert Hugh Benson. It was written in 1907, so that's before the Communist Revolution. Talks about a very dystopian world. And in that novel, there is a character called Mabel Brand. She is the wife of one of the politicians in the novel, and she becomes disillusioned with the atheist communist society that has become this totalitarian dystopian society. And so she books into a euthanasia clinic. This is set in the UK, by the way, this novel, Lord of the World. She books into this euthanasia clinic, and she waits there for a week, and then she goes through it. She ends her life. And this priest, Robert Hugh Benson, he's in that book, describes very accurate things to what we were living through. One of the things that, if you haven't missed, which we wouldn't have noticed prior to this year, is the Pope in that novel is an English-speaking Pope. And we happen to have on the very at the time when they have passed assisted suicide in the UK, at this very time, we happen to have an English-speaking Pope. In the novel, it's an English Pope. We have an American Pope, but we have, he got the English-speaking Pope right. The name of the Franklin Percy, if I'm not mistaken, he gets elected as Pope Sylvester. After all the cardinals have been killed in Rome. It's a fascinating novel. I do recommend that people read it. And I mean, Father Robert Hugh Benson was a visionary. I don't know if you could really call him a prophetic visionary, but there are some people that can look at trends and say, well, this is going to be the logical conclusion of what we see today. They are visionaries in the sense that they can see trends and they can see the logical conclusion. And he saw the rise of three superpowers. Well, we could say we definitely have the rise of various superpowers in the world. America's a superpower, China's a superpower, Russia. We see alliances being formed: the BRICS alliance, the European Union, America. I think these three superpowers have kind of delineated themselves, and it's sad in a way that this is where we've arrived to. Pope John Paul II spoke about the culture of death. We are in this post-Christian society where the God that we serve is money. That is the reality. Society bows down to this new God, this new economic God. And if you're not able to worship this economic God, you're not needed in society. as I said, somebody with Down syndrome, 90% of them are aborted off. In the Netherlands, in other countries where they've introduced assisted suicide, it has grown and grown and grown. It hasn't remained stable. It hasn't become rare. It has grown and grown and grown because it's an easy solution for society. Kill yous off. We don't need hospices. We don't need end-of-life care. We don't need you taking up beds in hospital. You can just go off to your home and we'll send you the medication and you just take it and get out. You decide and off you go. And somebody might think, oh, well, that's great. Why, you Catholics can do what you want. But as I said, first they came for the unborn and we said nothing. Then they came for the Down syndromes and they said nothing. Then they came for those dying of cancer and we said nothing. The creep that we see, what will it be next? You might think that this is something that won't impact us, but it'll slowly, human rights seem to be slowly eroded away under the guise of freedom. Yeah, right, freedom. In this new dystopian world that we seem to be venturing into, where the basic human right of life we seem to have so disrespected. That a child just about to be born can be killed and there's no prosecution. This is what they've passed in the UK. I mean, and I'm not exaggerating here, guys, but this is the world we live in, and we can't see that this is going to be abused. This is going to be abused. You will make elderly feel like burdens. You will make elderly feel that they have no way out. Because when you're sick, when you're sick is at your lowest point. People think, oh, I'll be able to make a choice. It's not a choice you make when you're sick. And this choice will be pushed on people at their lowest ebb in life. And some might say, well, that's fine. I mean, they're going to die anyway, so what does it matter that they're dying a month or 2 months or 6 months before they would naturally die? Does it make any difference? Well, yeah, it does. Because we sanctify ourselves. There's a formation in caring for somebody. We learn and they learn. Somebody's last months in life have value. And there's value in caring for somebody as they journey towards death. I find it so sad. But it's no surprise. The UK has been killing itself off for a long time, replacing itself with immigration because, birth rates have plummeted. People can't be bothered with kids, and now they have introduced assisted suicide, and it'll come into Ireland. As night follows day, we'll be doing the exact same as the Brits, and we'll probably do it even better. This is what will happen. They'll probably put it to a vote here. And it'll pass by 70% because when it comes to voting to killing ourselves off here in Ireland, we do it par excellence. 66% of the people voted for abortion in Ireland. In the first year, we had 6,666 abortions. The first year that the legislation was introduced in Ireland. It didn't stay at 6,666 abortions. It rose up to 10,000 because we are masters of doing things right in here in Ireland when it comes to destroying ourselves. And we'll do the same with euthanasia. We'll outdo the Brits. It's coming here. Culture of death. Again, if you've no economic value to anybody, society doesn't care. And of course society would push legislation under the guise of, yes, it's individual values and you're free to choose and etc, etc. But you're free to choose and we'll pay for your choice, by the way. You're free, but by the way, we'll pay for your abortions and your assisted suicide. Yeah, this is where it will end up. You won't have to pay for it. The taxpayer will pay for it. The whole country will be complicit in its own collapse. This is where we've headed. And it's very sad. But anyway, pray for the world. Read Robert Hugh Benson's Lord of the World. That novel. It's kind of strange, prophetic, that when this legislation is passed in the UK, we happen to have an English-speaking Pope. I didn't see that coming. But, not everything in that novel he got right, but he got a lot of things very, very accurate. And we see this war breaking out in the Middle East. If you go to the end of that book, where does the war end? But in Israel, it ends with them in adoration, as all the forces center on Israel. Miguelo. God bless you. Take care. Bye bye.